bringing up Pam Bondi's name, is the situation with hate speech. Let's watch Pam Bondi's own words when it comes to the difference between hate speech and free speech, according to her. Here we go.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free speech and then there's hate speech.
So let's be clear what she's talking about there, because she came out and said, "Oh, I was speaking about people who are making threatening remarks." No, that's not what hate speech is, right? There's laws around making violent threats, right, that are credible. But when she's talking about this here, what you have to understand, when you have Republicans clapping, right, to the sound of her saying that they're going to go after people for hate speech, especially in light of like this Jimmy Kimmel switch of hands where they made it seem like they were actually going to get rid of him, but they actually didn't. Right? What they were doing is called a shock test, right? They were trying to figure out what would the public's response be if we go after people on mainstream media and get rid of their platform by leveraging, the tools of the federal government, right? Because that's what happened here, is that apparently Trump went to the FCC board and put pressure on them, and they went to ABC and to Disney and to all of these affiliates, and they basically got him pulled off, right? But the point of that was not to actually pull him from the air, because today's Tuesday the 23rd, and he's going to be aired again already. They were trying to figure out exactly what your response would be. Republicans, Democrats, both sides of the aisle, Libertarian, everybody. They were trying to figure out what the response would be. And you guys, maybe not you, but you guys failed, right? On both sides of the aisle, right? We were so against hate speech when it had to do with COVID, when it had to do with the Black Lives Matter riots, when it had to do the LGBTQ, i.e. let them in a P, whatever, right? We were so against it until it's time for us to, right? The Voltaire quote, I wholly disagree with what you have to say, and I will put down my life to defend your right to say it. Something like that, right? And so the idea is that they were testing you. They were trying to figure out how you would respond, right? And they did that. And now he's going to be back on air. And now they know that you'll crumble under pressure. And again, maybe not you, but the general public. And so we have to be clear here. This hate speech that Pam Bondi is talking about is not going to be about Charlie Kirk. This statement has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. They try to make it seem like that with Jimmy Kimmel. Interesting timing. But it has nothing to do with that. What it has to do with is going to be your criticism of who? Take a guess. Israel. That will be the new shadow banning crusade. That will be the new lose your platform. Get banned from Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, all of them. Right? That is going to be the new battleground that will have to be fought on for free speech. Right? It's no longer COVID. It's no longer LGBT, whatever. It's going to be Israel. That's what these laws will be used for. And guess what? If you're under 30, if you're under 40, and even if you're on the right, generally, statistically, you don't agree with what's happening and what Israel's doing. And so they will come after you. That's what she says at the very end of that clip, on both sides of the aisle. Well, what are both sides of the aisle saying that they don't like? It's about Israel. Right? That's going to be the anti-Semitic hate speech that's going to cause you to get banned on Instagram or TikTok. Right? Trust me. Lost my TikTok, totally banned from TikTok, and lost my Instagram platform from growing for like 2 years during COVID. Because I was speaking what? The truth. If they knew that you were lying, they wouldn't have to silence you, because the truth eventually comes out. Right? They wouldn't have to label you, because they know that what you're saying, right? They don't have to say you're anti-Semitic or you're anti-vax, right? They called you anti-vax when they didn't like the facts of what you were saying about vaccines, right? They called you vaccine hesitant, right? All of those situations, this will come around to bite you. So if you are the person clapping to this, realize this is not for what you think it is, and it is always and will always be a Trojan horse for the government to gain more power. And guess what? That's what we're against here, right? Right? That's what we're against here. We do not want to centralize more power to the government to tell people what they can and what they cannot say or think, right? This is not the Minority Report. We're not able to handcuff people for thoughts or words, right? That is what our forefathers, the founding fathers said explicitly, right? The freedom of speech is what everything else is built off of, right? The First Amendment is protected by the Second Amendment, and all the other amendments have to be protected by the First Amendment. That's it.